one thing that's really encouraging to take away from this is just the power that these narratives of rescue, or at least attempted rescue, can really have as far as, appealing to the public.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the heart of why this story is so powerful, and the heart of why these rescue stories are so powerful, is that it's about love. I mean, really, that's the not only this in this particular story with Cedar, but even if it's an animal that maybe the rescuer didn't know before, like say that so Matt rescued, well, Matt and I, whatever, I was part of this piglet named Gilly, and you didn't know Gilly, but like it's very clear that there's a real tenderness for Gilly, like implicit in that action. Like it takes away some of the politicized aspects of this, because people do respond to individual stories. Like there's, in a broader sense, there's the saying of a million deaths like one death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic. So there's that element, but also like the idea of the motivations. Something that drives me up the wall is when people try to say that vegans, they usually say this about vegans, but I mean animal rights activists, are trying to enforce, like it's about trying to control what we eat. Like it's just about their own, as if there's no animal. And to me, that's so it's stupid, like so beyond, like it's hard to even like listen to that. Because it's like, I don't care. I don't like lasagna. My Italian friend finds this extremely offensive, but like I don't care what you eat. Like I don't care if you eat lasagna or not. Like it's no skin off my back. The idea that people are actually going to stand there and pretend that they don't understand that there is another person involved in the killing of an animal, that really is what we're
right.
So I think it cuts through a lot of that defensiveness and cognitive dissonance when you make it about one individual, and the fact that this is about saving their life, this is about care for them. And when you see the footage of that rescue, like say Cedar had been successfully saved, the happiness that people would have felt, like the warmth of like seeing that little girl, the video of her reunited with that goat, it would have just been like, nobody's thinking about, well, 4-H, like the policy, the like, even the people that, that took Cedar back and killed Cedar would have been touched by that. And it makes me think of, I was waiting for a train once back in California, and this, the train tracks, where there was like and there was there was a ledge, and then there was a recessed part where the actual train came through. So it was, a good 2-3 feet below where we were standing, the platform, this train, and the train was coming. We could hear the blowing and the train, and a mother duck and her ducklings were on the tracks. They were trying to cross, wherever they were trying to cross, and people, there were a bunch of strangers there, and people were just like, they jumped into action. And it was, it wasn't like the train was right on top of us, but it was definitely like intense. It was like, all right, get down. And people are scooping up these ducklings and it was like, we have to save them. And I'm sure all of those people eat chicken, or it's very unlikely that like those were a bunch of vegans.
Right.
I think that like when it comes down to it, nobody actually wants, like people understand the value of an individual life. Like they do. And I think when we talk about one individual, like one animal, it's easier to understand, like not just their value, but that they want to live. Like you can look at them and say, like, does it matter to them? Like, and also, does it matter to us? Like what happens to this individual?
And I shout out to DXE in this regard with direct action everywhere, with the right to rescue. It's kind of been an ongoing, years-long kind of campaign with not only my prosecution, but some recent cases that actually did go to trial and have actually had some acquittals, which is just amazing. And that has, similarly been very sympathetic to the public when you can incorporate the sort of rescue narratives and get away from the, individual focused and, talking about individual products on a shelf
in the sense of consumer choice to buy Tofurkey versus
talking about actual individual suffering animals being saved, as opposed to products on a shelf, very depersonalized, that sort of thing is the stuff that people will scoff at.
Yeah, because that's ultimately what it's, when you get to the heart of what's going on and what it's about, it isn't about the idea of bacon. It's about like what's actually happening. Like bacon is an end result of things going on in the world. And what I want to like say about right to rescue also is that the human element, there is such a negative despite like sharing, people, the world in general, sharing a lot of the same values, and we agree on actually a lot of things. By we, I mean like us and people that don't, don't really consider themselves to have any alignment with the animal rights movement, is that there's a perception of animal rights activists that maybe is that they're extremists, or that I think just that they're too different from us, that they can't relate. And, if people, especially if they're motivated by defensiveness to oppose what animal rights activists are doing, it's so when a human person, animals are also people, puts themselves at risk to save an animal, it also really sends the message that like, hey, that is very sympathetic, like agree or don't. Like, when Matt had his felony prosecution, the response to that was tremendously positive from even the mainstream media. And that wasn't just because, I think it was even less because the focus on Gilly, the piglet, kind of disappeared. The narrative became about Matt at the point that, Gilly had already she went to a sanctuary. She's alive and well today. The sympathy for Matt, like people saying, I think there was a quote, like someone that we wouldn't expect to be sympathetic said something like, you got to hand it to the guy, like you got to like, hey, I may not agree with him, but like, I really respect what he did.
Yeah. I think the individual stories of individual animals, and then the individual stories of humans that are kind of enduring some sort of suffering. And you see that, that historically, not to fully equate things, in any sense of the word, but I mean, this is Rosa Parks, Gandhi, et cetera. Those people faced consequences on a very different level than what I faced, to be clear, but it's the same sort of principle that's also really powerful.
Well, I think the similarity is it illustrates that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is with their values. And it's hard to make a kind of snarky comment about when you've got someone who's potentially going to prison. It's really hard to pull the like, people say, they're in it for the money, which is hilarious because animal rights activists make no, but it's hard to say they're in it for, it's like, there are a lot of things that if it was about our egos that we could do to like get attention, they wouldn't potentially land us in prison. There's a lot of, so and definitely it's going to be interesting to see where the right to rescue movement goes. I mean, I think like just recently with the acquittal of two activists in a case in Utah, Wayne Chung and Paul Picklesheimer, where they were acquitted in the rescue of these two piglets, certainly a lot of the animal rights movement felt very emboldened. And I think that's why the industry was so scared of this happening and fought so hard against it. I got a text from a friend of mine, and to be clear, I'm more skeptical. I'm not like, now we can just, now it's going to be just a straight shot to like, just, this is a norm now. Yeah. But I had a text from a friend who was so excited, and she said, I just want to go rescue. Like, I just want to go out and rescue an animal.
Yeah.
That's
cool. That's when
Yeah. That's when, and that's the kind of thing that it may not seem like it's easy to miss, what's the word? To underestimate the effect that these kind of cases can have, because really we're talking about a subtle thread in the culture, and that is how cultural change happens. At first, it's like that's a one-off, but like it grows from there.
Right.
When people start.
There's been another case more recently with Alicia and Alexandria.
Alicia Santoro and Alexandra Paul.
Yeah,
who were also acquitted in the rescue of two chickens.
Yep, same sort of deal. So righttorescue.com. I'm pretty sure that website's still being updated, so definitely encourage all folks to check that out and support DXC on that.
And I also encourage you, if you're so inclined, and if you understand the legal and potential legal risks of this, and if you're able to do it, I'm certainly going to say if you feel like you want to go rescue a chicken, vegan or not, you've got our full support. Go for it.
Apply, make sure you're fully aware of the risks and how you want to go about it. But
I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but I just want to throw it out there. If anyone's really enthusiastic,
maybe send us a signal message. We can give you a few not safe for YouTube pointers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's even though we're doing this TV show now, it's obviously a little bit less legally risky.
This isn't a TV show. This isn't 1975. This is a podcast and a YouTube show.
All right. But I'm saying even though this is a little less legally risky than some of the stuff in our background, like investigations, to be clear, we are 100% at heart. We're totally down, and certainly in the future.
We're domestic terrorists to the bone.
Certainly in the future, we plan to be getting up to some more shenanigans like that.
Allegedly, potentially, hypothetically. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.